This is the story behind Margaret Thatcher, the first female Prime Minister of Britain. As you can see, inflation was very high and growth was very low, and so the economy was doing so badly that the people wanted to vote in an administration that could do something about it. Shortly thereafter, Edward Heath and his Conservative administration got voted into office with Heath as Prime Minister. Thatcher, as Education Minister, got stuck with a very difficult job but showed her strength and had a very successful term. When Heath, Thatcher, and the rest of the Conservatives got voted out of office, Margaret Thatcher became the minority leader of the Conservative Party. When Heath's administration got voted out, the Labour Party got voted in. The Labour Party did a very poor job and Britain went quickly bankrupt. The Labour Party was expected to fix many of the economic crises, but they ended up doing a very bad job. Wages were cut, and in protest, many of the workers went on strike. These labor strikes were so effective that they got the Labour Party voted out of office and the Conservatives voted back in. In 1979, Margaret Thatcher became the first female Prime Minister with an overwhelming 43-seat Commons majority. Because of how well she did as Education Minister, she came into office with high expectations. But unfortunately, bad economic times were pressing, and she was forced to make some hard decisions. Taxes were increased, and unemployment was inadvertently increased. But in the long term, those hard decisions paid off. In the spring of '81, things started to turn around for Britain. Even though economically things started to turn around, Thatcher's reputation was left a little crippled. From then on, she was known as a heartless but effective leader. That's where the famous or infamous nickname Iron Lady came from. Her strong will, rigidness, and willing to do whatever it takes to help her country. Even though her economic policies worked in the long run, the thing that got her re-elected was the Falklands War. At first, combined U.S. and British forces tried to calm the turmoil on the Falklands Island diplomatically. After that wasn't working, Thatcher had the British military task force step in. This act had immense success, and the islands were back under British control by 1982. This military victory was exactly what Thatcher needed to prove to Britain she could take on another term. Ronald Reagan, who got elected a year after Thatcher, became very good friends with her. Some would even call them political soulmates. Reagan saw her as a refreshing conservative voice who he could team up with on international issues and gravely trust. Thatcher was actually a strong force responsible for bringing Gorbachev and Reagan together, and convinced Reagan that Gorbachev was to be trusted. Together, they came to define what it meant to be a successful conservative and led the world into the golden age of conservatism. After being Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher remained significant in the British political scene. She went on to write 2 books and touring for another decade of her life as a world speaker. Early 2002, she had to put an end to her public speaking career because of several small strokes, which was the end of Margaret Thatcher's political involvement. On April 8th of this year, Margaret Thatcher passed away, but the memory of the Iron Lady will live on forever, whether it be famously or infamously.